Welcome back to Radio Taiwan International. You're listening to Geek Out. What's your cup of tea, tickles your fancy, or floats your boat? Join us as we share passions from people in Taiwan and around the world. I'm your host, Michelle Chang, and today in the studio we have Gaston.
Hi. So nice to be here.
I actually never asked your last name.
Oh, Stabiszewski.
I would have totally been nervous and slaughtered it in the intro.
Good thing you didn't ask. Yeah.
One more time.
Stabiszewski.
Stabiszewski.
Polish name.
Ah, very cool. All right. Because where are you from?
I'm from Germany
Nice.
originally.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're just like visiting Taiwan temporarily?
I guess so. I've been here for 4.5 months. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fair to say I lived here for a little bit, right? 4 months
that's
is living.
That's definitely long enough to live here.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are we geeking out about today?
Oh my God, let's geek out about comedy.
Yes, because that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm a comedian, yeah, and also filmmaker and writer, but like in Taiwan, in Taipei, the last 4 months, I've been able to focus on comedy a little bit. And so, yeah, I'm really...
I do have to thank the German department. They were like, hey, do you want to do a show with a comedian? He was at 2-3 Comedy. And of course, I mean, all the expats in Taipei know the comedy club 2-3 Comedy, which does a lot of like improv shows. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who come through and tour. They do... They swing by 2-3.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for swinging in. Really improv like.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm used to doing that. Yeah, just improvising life.
Of course. So what were you doing at 2-3?
I was hosting a stand-up open mic.
Yay.
Yeah, so I do come from improv, so I've been doing improv comedy for the last 8 years.
Wow.
And then I recently made the daunting transition to stand-up. Yeah, and then I've been doing stand-up here twice a week because they have 2 English-speaking open mics at 2-3. And so I've been doing spots at those, and then also I've been hosting them, occasionally. I did a couple hosting spots. Yeah.
I am a layman, and of course many of our listeners may also be. So let's kind of explain the difference, like what is improv versus what is stand-up?
So improv comedy stands for improvised comedy, and it's mostly scene-based. So the best, easiest way to imagine it is that it's improvised sketches or skits.
Right.
Like anywhere between like 2 to 10 people can be on stage at a time.
Oh, wow.
We get like a suggestion from the audience, and then we improvise comedic scenes based on audience suggestions. Exactly.
I think a lot of people are super familiar with the TV show Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, that's it.
Of course, I hear that the stuff that's actually featured in the episodes that are aired on TV or on the internet are kind of like their best clips, but that's more or less what it is. Like they have no time to prepare.
Yeah.
And they're given prompts, and that's what they're supposed to do. So that's the same thing that you do.
Exactly. I mean, so there's this interesting distinction between short form improv comedy and long form improv comedy. And Whose Line Is It Anyway is short form improv comedy mostly, which is like these improv games where you have to come up with super funny lines super quickly. And so that's very high pressure and very high energy.
Yeah.
Long form is too, but long form is a little bit more free, I would say. So in long form comedy, you could get like an audience suggestion, and then we would play like a 30-minute improvised kind of play based off of just that one suggestion, you know?
Wow, so you would actually turn out like a storyline.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. Storylines, and then also it's about like funny patterns, right? And
Gotcha.
So there's all these little, all these different formats that you can do,
I can imagine that your castmates, crew members, whatever you call castmates, right?
Castmates, friends.
Are your friends that are on stage with you are a heavy influence on how well that goes.
For sure. It's so nice. Yeah, like I think about it all the time now that I do stand-up comedy, which that's just, one person on stage talking about their own thoughts. And it was a hard transition for me, and still is, because like in improv we fail together. If we have a bad show, we all have a bad show together, and we can bond over it after. And if I fail in stand-up, it's just like, oh, I guess my thoughts are not interesting or funny.
Oh, no.
The things I really care about are not funny to anyone.
Oh no. Well,
and it's like, and of course improv is all about supporting each other, right? Like, so we're really a team and we're trying to make each other look good, and that's why I love improv so much. And it's why I always kind of looked down on stand-up a little bit, because I was like, it's so individualistic, you know?
I can liken it to my job here at the, Radio Taiwan International, where we do two kinds of shows. We do shows where we have either a co-host or an interviewee, where we sit here, as I am right now, at like in the captain's chair, and we have someone that we're kind of bouncing back and forth with. And that is a whole different beast, very different animal than if I have to sit here by myself and go on for a while about some kind of topic. Really different.
Super different, right? You can really rely on someone else and build something together, which is beautiful. But I mean, it's also beautiful to do it by yourself, right?
It can be. Because when you're playing off somebody else, I do find that sometimes the downside is that the conversation goes everywhere. It's true. It's true. It can go, but I mean, of course, in improv, the big thing is like, it's so unpredictable. Like, every show is different, and I think it was hard for me initially to go like, why would I do the same thing over and over again? Because in stand-up, you're trying to write something, you're trying to perfect it, practice, and in improv, it's really just like, you go on stage, it exists for like the time that we perform it, and then it's gone forever. It's chaos.
And it's chaos, exactly, right? It's all over the place. And in stand-up, you actually have to take care to focus it, right? Give it a focus, which is, I think, what you were saying, right? Like, you have to really work.
You are trying to perfect that story that you're trying to tell. I also play Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that's very improv.
It's very improv. I have been in both the seat of the storyteller, the dungeon master, and also as players, and I'm going to say that the Dungeon Master is very much stand-up. And the players are playing improv.
Very interesting. Very interesting. But as a Dungeon Master, do you prepare?
Oh, yes.
You have to prepare a lot. Right?
I mean, there are Dungeon Masters who just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. But generally, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to prepare your story.
Right.
Now, whether your players actually follow along with said story is entirely up to fate and the table, and the dice. But it's actually really similar. Players bounce off each other. And it really depends on someone else's reaction and someone else's roll of dice, what I'm supposed to do.
But you still have to like really think on your feet, right? Like,
yes.
You have to react to
very
things.
much so.
We have one, there's this improv team here called Three Body Problem. They perform every Tuesday night at Another Break. And one of the players on that team his job is dungeon master. Like, he earns his money.
Earns money doing it.
He earns his money being a dungeon master, like, remotely.
That's the dream.
Yeah. Apparently, he told me there are platforms where you can like. He does it with teams remotely, like in the U.S. And there are some teams that have been doing the same game for like years.
Yes, I myself ran a game that went for like 5 years.
That's insane.
It's crazy. That's a whole nother episode talking about a whole nother level of geekiness. But that's great. He is living the nerd dream. Yeah,
it's great, right? And I think the way he talks about it was like, his like experience in improv, really, he brings it to bear fully. And he's also an actor, so I guess
he could do all the voices and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
That's what he does, right?
So jealous. I can't do the voices. I'm awful at it.
Hey, you are stepping into it, something like that, right? No.
Yeah, taking on characters is, or becoming a character is quite difficult.
Yeah.
And a lot of people underestimate how hard that is. So props for doing it in improv.
Right? I always think like voices are hard. I think, I still have a tough time with voices. I think I don't dare to do voices often enough because they're fun to do, but but then you really have to commit to them.
You do.
You can't just abandon it.
You have to do 110% or not at all.
Exactly. Because the audience can really sense like if you're just half-assing it and you're not really committing to it. And I can imagine like as a dungeon master, you want to keep up, like you're building this world, right? If you then kind of throw your own character under the bus.
Exactly. If you're only middling around, then the story is not nearly as interesting. So you do this professionally in Germany. I'm assuming you're going back to Germany?
I'm going back to Germany.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Tonight. 1:30 a.m.
Okay.
With my luxurious Scoot flight.
No, I've taken Scoot before. It's actually fair.
Scoot is all right. I mean,
aren't they owned by like Singapore?
Singapore. Yeah. But they don't give you water. No free water for us.
budget airlines.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Look, I prefer to save money on the flight and then spend it on the destination.
I think that's
like doing stuff there.
Yeah, just to use the pool at Singapore airport.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
they have a pool. Did you know that? There's a pool at the airport.
I'm swinging in there later this year. I will do that. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you should go.
So you're going back to Germany at 1:30 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are your plans?
So I've really fallen in love with stand-up. I really love doing it. And I've been doing it in English here. And I did it like a couple times in German back when I was living in Berlin.
Oh, that should be a different beast.
It's totally different, yeah.
Because, languages have different...
Yeah.
What is it? Intonation. There's different timing, and you can't just directly translate.
No, I think I have to throw out pretty much everything that I wrote here. Like pretty much everything. And then, rebuild it kind of, because also the references are different, right? Yeah, audiences are super different. I've been talking in my stand-up a little bit about like Nazis and stuff like that. And it's like, it is... Because, an audience here reacts to that way differently than a German audience. Like, also, a German audience has heard every possible
Nazi
iteration of Nazi jokes. So it's like, it'll be very fun and interesting to see what I can do back in Germany.
Yeah. I'd never thought about it that way. Like, if you're trying to do stand-up in different languages, that's a huge challenge. So you have plans to do stand-up in Germany at... Well, I'm assuming. How do you even go about doing it? Do you go to clubs and say, "I'm a stand-up comedian. Here's my
card.
Here's my card." Is that how it goes?
I still to be honest with you, I don't know how it works. I've been gone for so long. I think so what happens here at 2-3, right, is that there's that one English open mic every Monday and Wednesday. Yeah, and that's manageable for me. Conceptually, you know where to go to do the thing. And in Berlin, I think the scene is much more fragmented. There are different open mics at different clubs and different weeks, and so I have to get the lay of the land a little bit. Yeah. And then figure out how do you even do it? Sometimes there are Facebook groups where you post in, I want to do a spot, and then they go like, okay, you can do a spot.
Yeah, I think that's where Facebook wins over the other social media is they have these, they create little communities on Facebook of people with like-minded goals and stuff like that. And that's where, we can find in Taiwan as well, in any language, I think where Facebook is, you can find people to help you in your endeavors.
Yeah. Oh, Facebook in Taiwan is, very, very...
active.
Yeah, exactly. Very active here.
So in Germany, of course, you're going to pursue your stand-up comedy, but you also mentioned that you're into videography?
Videography? I mean, I'm a filmmaker, so writer and director mostly.
Ooh.
I've made one feature film. It's called Pasadena.
Oh.
That came out 2 years ago. And I'm working on my second feature now.
Okay.
And so that's a Germany-based story. And so I'm also trying to get that off the ground in Germany.
Okay, so Pasadena's already out.
Pasadena's already out.
Where can we all watch that?
On a site called No Budge. That's an independent streaming site. It's really, really cool.
So you don't have to pay the YouTube fees.
You don't have to. It's free. It's free, actually. Good. You can go to nobudge.com/Pasadena, and you can watch the whole movie for free. It's a streaming site for micro-budget, independently produced films.
That's great.
Yeah,
because
it's really cool.
Yeah, people do need need places where they're not going to get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, or form in order to put up their work. So, good
for sure.
All right. So, can we get a trailer? What do we call that? What is Pasadena about?
A synopsis.
Okay.
Synopsis. Pasadena.
No spoilers.
I would say, I won't spoil it. Okay, so it's about two siblings who haven't seen each other in 3 years since the death of their mother.
Oh.
And are having a tough time reconnecting. I always call it like a slow comedy about grief and depression.
Like a dark comedy.
Dark comedy.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So serious.
Yeah.
So serious.
I
After
know.
coming from improv and stand-up comedy, I wasn't expecting that blow.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny, but very kind of in a quiet way. And I'm also trying to kind of bring that together. Like the quest to finding your own voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting, thinking about improv where we're in a group on stage all the time. We always do everything together, and in stand-up you really have to hone your own voice. What do you want to say, and what do you care about, and what do you think is funny, and that's still challenging to me. And I still feel, like I have these doubts that I think anyone...
Oh, that's definitely a journey.
Yeah, right? Like anyone doing artistic things knows that these thoughts are like, oh, I'm actually not interesting. I'm not funny. I'm not,
The intrusive voice that says, bad
you know
stuff.
those?
Everybody's got those. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you don't have those, you're a psychopath.
I think so too, right? It would be insane not to have them.
Right.
Yeah. But so that same journey is still going on for me with filmmaking and with the writing that I do and screenwriting, is that like, what is my voice and where is the kind of middle ground between comedy and drama that I think is me? Yeah.
Do you have any projects currently in the works?
Yeah. I'm writing a comedy about schizophrenia.
Oh,
that's also very serious.
Oh man,
that sounds very serious. But I like, it's a very kind of personal project for me.
Okay.
And I feel like schizophrenia is an illness that, like immediately the room just sinks. Everyone's like,
it's a subject that makes people turn away.
Exactly.
Because they're uncomfortable, talking about it, looking at it, dealing with it.
There's so many misconceptions too about it.
Absolutely.
Like people know so little about the illness, and whenever we encounter the illness in like media, we see like, crime. A paranoid schizophrenic did this, and
stab somebody to death, or whatever.
And like, but the truth is like somewhere around like 98% of people who have schizophrenia and never become violent.
Of course.
And we don't see that, right? We don't see the people that are just living with it, and that's what I want to focus on. I've already done a lot of research, and I've talked to a lot of people who have schizophrenia in my research. And there were many moments of levity that they described, and like laughter is so close always to, of course, as we know, right? Hard things in life. Yeah.
It's very human. It's very human to try to find the laughter, the levity, the lightness when you're looking into something that's so dark. Yeah. Or has the potential to be dark. Yeah. So I love this spin. Yeah. You're finding the joy in challenges.
Yeah, you don't want to make light of it, of course, so that's the big challenge of it. I don't want to pretend that it's not super hard in like any society, to have schizophrenia, because it's hugely stigmatized, and so you don't want to just poke fun at it or make jokes about it. Yeah. But I'm trying to find that middle ground. Yeah.
To bring awareness to it so that the public can see it in a very truthful way.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and hopefully remove some of that kind of seriousness around it.
Yeah, get the stigma out of here.
Yeah, get it out of here.
Get out of here.
We don't want it in here. Yeah, get it out. Because I think it's such a hard thing to talk about for people who have it, and then also to write, like, so I'm writing a romantic comedy about it, which I think in dating it's also super.
Oh wow, that's
hard.
A whole nother.
Yeah, right.
I don't even have words to describe how I might feel should I have this challenge in addition to the extreme challenge of being single.
Yeah.
Just being single is hard enough.
Just being single is hard enough, right? Now imagine you have this kind of illness that people have so many preconceived notions about, and then you meet someone and talk to them, and like, when do you disclose that you have it?
Wow.
So those are all, I think, very interesting questions that I think haven't really been explored before.
That you're working through for your film.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Do we have... Well, it will be announced on the same platform, I imagine. Eventually.
Eventually. I mean, it takes so long to get movies made.
Well, actually, explain the process.
Oh, so I'm working on a treatment for it now, which is just kind of it's essentially an outline of the movie, and then the way the German system works. I would so love also to know how the Taiwanese system works. I know every system is so different. But in Germany, you have to attach a production company to your project, and then the production company applies for funding through the state-run kind of funding institutions. Then you get funding to write the script, then you get funding to pre-produce it, then you have to get funding to produce it. So this could take 50 years for me to make this movie.
I mean, even the big, giant Hollywood with enormous amounts of money take years to produce something.
That's true. That's true. And in Germany, it's also like the big, the big guns. Till Schweiger, have you ever heard of him?
I probably know faces better than
probably.
Yeah.
Like, he's like one of the biggest kind of German stars. He's kind of unhinged now, but
a lot of them are.
No, I know, right? It comes with the territory, right? Apparently. But like, even he has to go through that same process sometimes, right? Where like all the money for movies comes out of the same pot. Like the indie movies have to get the same kind of state funding that the huge movies get.
Wow,
and so it's
that's
like
very different
yeah.
than I would imagine the U.S. works or Taiwan works. Because if you have private funders, then
exactly, there's like I think there's almost no private money in in the German film industry.
Cool, but maybe not cool. Yeah. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, I shouldn't talk. I shouldn't speak on it too much. I'll see. I'll find out how cool it is. I'll try it. I'll try it.
Well, we're all excited. I'm going to say that listeners are excited. So where can we follow you, find you, watch you?
Oh, so you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Gaston Stabiszewski. I bet that name will be written somewhere where you...
Actually, we know how to spell Gaston.
Gaston, yeah. Gaston.
And then how do we spell your last name?
Stabishewski.
Okay, we have to roll that back a couple of times for you guys to search. But yes, that's how we find you on, you said Instagram and...
TikTok, exactly. Cool. So at Gaston Stabiszewski, and then also www.gastonstabiszewski.com.
You have one of those names where you can just have your name.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm Michelle Chang, so there's so many of me.
Yeah, I don't have to call it like Gaston Stabiszewski official or something because there's no other one. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy.
It's always great to geek out with someone who's like so passionate about their craft and their hobby.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
Thanks, listeners, for tuning into Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Geek Out. Bye.
Bye.